I'm joined by Amanda Brown-Stevens of the Greenbelt Alliance, and today there was a conceptual endorsement of the Howard Terminal project. I believe conceptual is a key word there. So why the endorsement now?
The Bay Area is at a critical moment in addressing both our housing and climate crisis. And as we look at how the Bay Area is going to grow and how we're going to grow in a way that reduces our greenhouse gas emissions and protects the natural lands that surround our communities for the many benefits that those lands have, we know that we need to build more housing, and we need to build it in places that in our existing cities and towns. And to do that, we need to look at places where we can make the biggest impact. Every city in the Bay Area, for example, right now needs to plan for the new housing that the state has assigned them, because the state has basically said to the Bay Area, we need to build almost 500,000 new homes.
Wow.
In order to address existing housing need. And to get to that scale, we need to really think differently about how we build and where we build. And so when we look at places like Howard Terminal, the opportunity to build 3,000 new homes within an existing community, close to various BART stations, close to a ferry terminal, and near many of the jobs and services that people access, this is a unique opportunity in many ways. And we feel like that opportunity, is something that Greenbelt Alliance has a climate smart development endorsement program in order to weigh in to support projects like this that will move toward a more affordable Bay Area, increase our housing stock, and do it in a way that protects our open spaces, protects our natural areas, and in particular, in places that have a lower climate-related risk outside of wildfire zones and outside areas of extreme heat.
Yeah, and this project, the biggest risk would be the sea level rise, and that is being mitigated as part of the project. So I could imagine that would be a big box that you would check off on that one. And then the ability to add 3,000 units of housing at once is probably pretty huge to put a lot of people in one space while also dropping the greenhouse gas emissions. Are those the main boxes that we're checking looking at this?
Yeah, so when we look at how we build and what our greenhouse gas impacts are, when we build more homes closer together, they use less energy, we use less water per person, and we drive a lot less. And those are three big contributions to our climate-related hazards. So that's a big plus on that side. And then, as you mentioned, it's along the waterfront. There's ways that this project can invest in building flood-related protections in here that, if done well, can both protect the new development and also provide enhancements for the existing areas that actually will reduce flood risk over time.
I'm not sure how closely you've looked at, well, you probably looked at it a lot being with the Greenbelt Alliance, but Oakland doesn't have a lot of publicly accessible waterfront. This would bring waterfront access back to people. I believe there's no fill or anything to worry about, like you're not taking over tidelands or marshes or other areas. And then you're connecting a bay trail. So is that a big thing you look at too?
Yeah, we've looked at, and we've seen the benefits of another project that Greenbelt Alliance endorsed many years ago, Brooklyn Basin.
Yes.
That recently has been developed in a different part of the Oakland waterfront that has now really become a destination. It's a gathering space. It's a place where community shows up to enjoy the waterfront, to roller skate, all kinds of things. We see that. We see the connection to Jack London, and we see this as a potential extension of that. We think that this can be done in a way that also allows the Port of Oakland to continue to thrive, which is another key part of the Oakland waterfront and something that's important to preserve and invest in as well. And we believe that both of these can be done together in a way that could enhance both the community building and waterfront access for members of the Oakland community, and continue to support our port as well.
Now, the endorsement is conceptual. Like, what would you have to see to take away the endorsement? I'm sure you're not going through all of this to conceptually endorse something that has major red flags, but is there something that you want to see before you can really like go all in on it?
Well, this endorsement comes as part of our climate smart development endorsement program. And for us, SMART means sustainable, mixed, affordable, resilient, and transit oriented. And we generally will give a final endorsement once a project is at the complete stages where they're going through the planning commission, that sort of thing. Right now, we'd like to see more details and a deeper level of affordability. We believe that this is a great place to have a mix of incomes, a mix of sizes. We think it's an opportunity to really build a neighborhood that could have homes for a lot of different types of people. So we'd like to, and we also want to make sure that the community benefits that the developer has been talking about are codified in those in that final development agreement. So we'll look to that before we do a final. We would finalize an endorsement process.
Yeah, and my understanding is, the city and the A's are going back and forth, but when they do come to terms on the community benefits agreement, development agreement, they would run that through the planning commission, do the due diligence to get it up to the city council before final vote. So I guess that's when you would do the big endorsement. And then is this timing, is there anything to do with the BCDC meetings coming up? There's a public meeting June 2nd where they're going to discuss the eventual vote, which will take place on June 30th. Is the timing of this endorsement in a way to influence or just show support before that meeting?
Well, this will give us an opportunity, because we've taken this step to speak up in that BCDC process and share our perspective and what we believe the environmental benefits of this project are, and really focusing on the greenhouse gas reduction of these 3,000 homes here as compared to, if those homes were built out in the outer parts of the Bay Area or beyond, where you end up having people driving sometimes multiple hours per day, really looking at that balance. And we're trying to create a framework for how we look at development in the Bay Area, and we look at the environmental impacts in a way that compares where these homes are built or proposed today versus where they would be built otherwise. Because we know with the levels of affordability we have today, we have to do more. We have to provide more opportunities for people to live, to stay in this area without having to pay so much rent or be pushed further and further out.
Is there any consideration too, this might be too far down the road, but if they do develop Howard Terminal, that means they can also develop the Coliseum site with more housing too. And then you're really getting like best of both worlds, a ton of housing in that scenario. Is that any part of the consideration yet, or is that just too far off?
So the way our endorsement program works is we do look at specific developments that are in front of us, rather than necessarily speculating what might happen in another place. Although, as part of our broader advocacy, we do believe that the Coliseum site has great opportunity to really continue to invest in a neighborhood that also could really use some investments related to flood-related risks and hazards. It's a place that, along Sandlander Creek in that area, there's a real opportunity for a big investment that would protect new and the existing homes as well that are already facing flood risk in the Coliseum area.
All right. Lastly, you told me a little bit off the top, but can you just tell us a little bit more about the Greenbelt Alliance? Because I'm a sports guy. I didn't even really know much about it before the endorsement. But what is like your main mission statement? Just tell me some good about what you guys are doing.
Greenbelt Alliance is an organization that's been around the Bay Area for over 60 years. We protect open spaces and encourage growth within communities. We really work to educate, advocate, and collaborate to build a more climate resilient region for people and nature. So we really look at that holistic view of building a Bay Area that works for us today and that preserves what's special about the Bay Area for future generations.
Well said. Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. It was interesting getting to learn about your organization and to meet you. And hopefully we'll talk more as this thing gets approved. Hopefully it does get approved.
Sounds good. Yeah, we look forward to building bridges across these issues, and to the sports fans, that it'd be great to get you guys out here and supporting some of the open space protections that we need in the region as well.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Amanda.